Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over 4 to 5 easy and effective high ground retakes. I'm a big believer that a lot of high ground retakes you'll see people do are more about style than effectiveness. There isn't anything wrong with that, but those types of retakes are really intimidating, and unless you're an absolutely cracked builder and editor, they probably aren't very practical to learn. So my plan with this video is to only show you guys retakes that I truly believe even average players would be able to learn relatively easily. I'm not saying you'd definitely be able to do it on your first try, but even my friends on console who play this game like 2 hours a week were able to learn most of these without much trouble. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so here's basically how this is gonna work. I've seen a lot of high ground retake tutorial videos where the guy goes into creative mode, does the retake, and basically goes, alright, so first I'm placing a wall here, then a ramp, then another wall, yada yada yada. Maybe it's just me, but I never really like that because as long as the person builds slowly at first, I can see that you're placing a wall and then a ramp. If anything, the live commentary on top of it can make it even more confusing at times. So what I'm gonna do is just quickly introduce the retake and then play a clip of me in creative mode, at first placing the pieces very slowly, then speeding up a bit, then doing it at full speed, and at least in my experience, that's the best way to go about it. So the first retake in this video today is gonna be the Thwifo cone span. The Thwifo cone itself is a retake method that people usually only use as part of retakes, but in my opinion, doing 3 to 4 Thwifo cones in a row is as effective of a high ground retake as you'll ever find. It isn't super heavy on mats, there are no edits involved whatsoever, and it's actually one of the easier high ground retakes to learn. So pay attention to the clip and I'll be back shortly. So that right there is definitely one of the high ground retakes I use the most. You're protected really well from on top of you, really well from one of your sides, and even pretty well from directly behind you. You can turbo build the entire time pretty much, and like I said, the Thwifo cone is absolutely essential to a lot of the advanced retakes, so if you plan to learn them, you need to know this. The next retake that we're going to be going over is one that I actually first learned from the pro player Stompy, so I'll just call it the Stompy retake. Why not? In terms of mechanical skill required, this is by far the easiest retake in this entire video, and I don't really think it's close. Plus, due to the simplicity, it also uses the least amount of materials. However, there's some apparent and not so apparent weaknesses that we'll talk about once you see the entirety of the footage, so I'll be back when it's finished. Alright, so as you saw there, the Stompy retake is really as simple as double ramping and placing a cone on top of the ramp over your head. Now the obvious weakness here is that you aren't really protected from your side at all, which in certain situations can definitely be problematic. Also, as you probably noticed in the clip, the placement of the pyramid on top can actually be a bit tricky. I definitely messed it up a few times, and the reason is the cone really only builds if you place it towards the very very end of the ramp. Because of that, the order that I've recently learned is the best is bottom ramp, top ramp, cone, and then repeat that over and over again. Also, be careful about turbo building the cone. You may have also noticed that a few times I held turbo build too long, and that actually caused me to build a second cone which I had to edit through to keep going up the ramp. Now, sometimes I actually do that intentionally because it gives you a bit more protection, but it also makes the retake a bit more difficult because now you have to edit through it. So it's totally up to you whether or not you want to do that. Moving on to our next retake, we have kind of a 2-for-1 special with the simple regular and simple protected variants of the side jump. Much like the Thwifo cone, doing a side jump by itself is honestly a very simple yet effective retake, plus it's also a huge part of most advanced retakes as well. So in this footage, I kind of show both the unprotected and protected variants at the same time since there really isn't that much of a difference, and again, I'll be right back to discuss it a bit more in depth. So in case you couldn't tell, the simple regular side jump is placing a cone in front of you and then jumping to the side while connecting a floor and ramp, while the simple protected side jump is the same exact thing, except you also place a wall on top of the cone towards the side you're jumping. I'll be honest, I personally prefer the unprotected version. I just feel like it's a lot easier to do, and the protection you get from the sidewall really isn't that great anyway. The good thing about side jumps compared to the other retakes is that you can choose to go either left or right, so that obviously makes you a little more unpredictable. I know I really only showed it in one direction in that clip because I'm just more comfortable going to the right, but it's important to practice side jumping in both directions. The final retake in this video is definitely the most advanced one. I'm never really good at keeping up with names, so even though there may be an official name for this retake, I just call it the Sideways Edit retake. It does require a good amount of mechanical skill, so for most players I'd recommend sticking with the retakes I already showcased, but if you're looking for something more challenging or you just have godly mechanics, this is a solid option, and I'll let the footage play out. So when it comes to that retake, every structure you saw me place there was necessary for it to work. I have a feeling someone's gonna ask, instead of placing a floor and cone on the ramp, can I just place the cone? Sadly, the answer to that is no. If you do that, as soon as you edit the cone, it disappears because it has nothing to connect to. There's no shame at all in thinking this retake is too advanced for you. You'll get by just fine with the other ones I've shown, but I just wanted to give you guys a preview and breakdown of what a slightly more advanced Highground Retake actually looks like. So overall, if I had to rank the retakes I showed you guys in order of what I'd most recommend learning, I'd go with the Thwifo Cone Spam retake at number 1 because that's the one I use the most and I feel like it's pretty easy to learn. The number 2 and 3 would be the simple unprotected and simple protected side jumps. Number 4 would be the Stompy retake. It's really simple, but it leaves you fairly exposed and the timing of that cone placement messes me up a lot. And then number 5 would be the Sideways Ramp Edit, just because it's pretty hard to learn and execute consistently. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. I want to know, are you personally somebody who uses Highground Retakes a lot in Fortnite or not so much? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.